start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we didn't set this up, but Steve, you want to do the mega statement again for us?
Absolutely, it'll be my last chance now before our students come next month. All students will graduate prepared with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors necessary to achieve their personal goals and to make a positive impact in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. Next is our public comment section. Is there anyone signed up for any of the public comment? All right, we can skip both of those then. And we can go on to Showcase the School 5.01 is our Booster Club donation. And I believe Mr. Thompson will start out, and Mr. Gibbs will be there with the big check to follow. I don't know who's going to start by speaking. There you go.
Well, this is my favorite thing to do every year, is to come here and give you our results of what Mr. Thompson asked for this year and what we could afford. Now, the Booster Club, when you think about it, is about 30 to 45 individuals that all roll the boat in the same direction for the betterment of our athletic department. And we couldn't do it without all of those individuals. And we couldn't do it without good leadership. Mike has been very instrumental in helping us grow from all the time I've been on the Booster Club. Donna has been just wonderful to work with, and you, the school board, has been wonderful. Worked with Brad before when he was here, and looking forward to working. Back when you were here the last time, we were making about $70,000 at the extravaganza. This year, it was our 25th year. A lot of you were there. $211,000 we brought in one night for our athletic department. And that is just unbelievable. This community backs our vision, and the leadership that we have through Mike and Donna and the rest of the high school staff wouldn't be able to do it, because the only way this thing works is if we get all the coaches rowing the boat in the same direction. We don't have the football team doing their little thing or the equestrian team doing their little thing. We have everybody working together to do it. Some years, Rayco needs a lot of helmets and a lot of football pads and such like this. The next year, the swimming team needs this. All the coaches understand they get what they need when they need it. And that couldn't be done without our great volunteers, our coaches, and our parents, because without them, we're just 45 people that meet on a regular basis and talk about what we can do next. We partnered with you on the video board, and that is just wonderful. When you talk to the business leaders here, Jerry Jacobson, when he was running the bank, he's going, let me see this. You have a class that teaches the kids how to work it. They work it during the games, and they sell the advertising. They're getting life's experiences. And I said, exactly. He said, sign us up for the largest one, but they still gotta come down and give us the pitch and everything. So, and the business people understand what our school is allowing us to do and what you allowed us to do by putting the video board up there. It is helping those kids in ways they don't understand until later life when they're able to do those type of things. This June, I think it was, maybe it was a May meeting, Mike looked at me and said, our football scoreboard shot. We were going to ask for it in our budget, but we know it's really tight, so we're gonna give that back. What can we do? And Chad Hobley and I looked at him and said, order the scoreboard. And then we contacted Chippewa Valley Orthopedic and Oak Leaf Clinics, and we paid for it up front. They are paying us back for it over a 3-year period. That's thinking outside the box, but we would have never been able to do it without the school board saying, hey, way to think like that. We got a brand new scoreboard, and it's much lighter than the other one. Can't believe how bright those lights are. But you help us by not constricting us, making us get three estimates for everything we want to do. We're able to act. We ordered it, we got it up. It was here for our first game. So I want to commend all of you for what you've done in the past. Ask you to continue to do that in the future, and then be able to allow us to even grow and make more money and give it back to the high school sports department. So with that being said, I would like to present this check for $185,000. It's the most we have ever given in the history, because stuff really got expensive this year.
Yes, it did.
But he actually got the real check in June, but this for it.
I was asked to cash that one, but they never let me.
But it makes us proud when the coaches tell us, because you bought us this, we had 2 kids that went to state this year. Because you did this for us, we had this happened and this happened. And you sit back and you go, God, now I know why I continue to do this. And yeah, I'm not the president anymore. I'm the vice president for the next 2 years, and then I go back to being the president for 2 years. So I'm back for another 4 years. I'll have 20 in after that. But if I can do this to keep kids from seeing me in my professional manner, I'm a very happy individual. So keep them busy so they can't get in trouble. Mike?
Yeah, the Booster Club is able to do what they do through voluntary efforts. I know that Mr. Gibbs mentioned that, but the parents sell popcorn and Gatorade and things at events, and that's volunteer hours. And we have somebody that raises money for our program jackets, and that's a little bit more money. And the extravaganza with the volunteer hours that goes out and get some donations. And obviously our community they really put their money where their mouth is. And all of that combined makes what this is all about, giving back to the high school. And 185 is not something we wanted to end on, and that's a huge amount of money, but as you know from your own pocketbooks, things just are more expensive now. But that's something that the Booster Club is really proud to do because of the efforts and because of our community and the things that are supported in our town, in our school, and beyond our town. But that's just the way it works here, and it's the way it needs to work here. And so I'm really proud to be able to work not only with Mr. Gibbs, but administration, school board, with our community to put our best foot forward for our kids. So, thank you.
Any questions?
No questions, but I think, on behalf of the board, we just want to thank you all. Obviously, you're doing the presentation, and it takes an entire village. It takes the people on the board, it takes the people on your board, it takes the people that are donating, the community members, and they're all involved in that. It takes the coaches, takes the players. It does take an entire village to do what we want to do, which is to provide these opportunities to kids. We couldn't do that without you. We can't pass a referendum. Times are tight. Other schools are not doing this. They can't do this. They come to you to try to copy this, and they can't do it. And that's just, it's incredible. And we can't thank you enough for allowing us to do those things.
Well, Mike only asked for $183,000, but we rounded up a little bit. It might go up, but it's really great when the coaches say, this is what I need, and we're able to say yes to everything. And the coaches are so great too. I remember a couple times the swim team got what they wanted. The next year they said, we're good, we don't need anything, because they know it's a collective effort. And that is really the key here, is Mike has them all rowing that boat in the same direction, that they understand what we can accomplish when we work together.
Well, the translation of the coaches getting what they need so they don't have to get it from the players, so the players' fees are not outrageous. So we don't have a kid that, maybe he doesn't qualify for financial aid, but his parents don't have $400 or $500, to pay for football or hockey or something.
I got a raise when my kids who played hockey came up here, and I only had to pay $20 instead of $700 each at the youth level, so.
Right. That's incredible. So Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next August. We'll make sure you have applications for the extravaganza you all get.
Check too.
Next is 7.02, review of board policy R.
I would take Brian.
I am way ahead. Okay, that's, yes, 5.02, introduction of new administrators. I believe that would be Dr. Sarin would be doing that.
Thank you, and I know that, I mean, most of you were at the opening day ceremony too, where we welcomed back a whole bunch of staff members to the, the Chippewa Falls team, but just very grateful for both Brittany and Scott for being able to come back to the team. And I know that, I speak for the entire administrative team when we say how grateful for your leadership, your expertise, but also just your sense of the school district and being able to hit the ground running. I know that, I personally got an email from Scott today because my son is enrolled in a program that you oversee, and so to see your name not only as the superintendent but also as a dad and a husband on an email like that, and knowing you and having worked with you previously has just been great. And then, Brittany, you are in charge of an extremely complex department that runs everything from, allergies to complex federally guided, special education programs to providing services to 3-year-olds to providing services to 21-year-olds. And you have just been able to re-enter this space with not only grace, but also team building and expertise that's just second to none. So I know that the board joins me in welcoming you both back. Thank you.
Well, and the third name on that list too. It's our job to do that. Dr. Sarin, welcome back, and we are extremely happy to have you here and everything that you've done start now. So that's the third administrator. Now we can clap. All right, 6.01 is OE5, personnel administration. Members of the board have received the CEO's monitoring report on OE5, personnel administration. It is now the board's responsibility to consider the report as evidence of compliance in this area. Dr. Sarin.
Thank you. Board has been submitted operational expectation 5. You know that we are submitting it with a category of in compliance with one exception that we've noted. And from here, I'm going to turn it over to the process lead on this, which is Sarah.
Thank you, Dr. Sarin. So you all have the report. I just have a brief summary to share with you that we are in compliance with noted exception across all 24 indicators of operational expectation 5. Our completion metrics for required training remain strong for last year, and we'll know more about our completion metrics for this year very soon, but I'll report on that next August. The human resource team has maintained strong coordination across teams to verify licensure, clarify assignments, and manage evaluations. Our volunteer engagement remains very high, and we've also added an additional required training layer to our system, entering our schools for the 26-27 school year as a result of Act 89. And feedback that we get from our building check-ins as well as our employee experience survey continue to directly shape the work of the Our People pillar. So looking ahead, our main commitments to support and retain staff include conducting an hourly staff compensation study this year, aligning our principal evaluations directly to our district scorecard, continuing to refine our new teacher and new staff mentor program, as well as launching a district-wide staff acknowledgement and recognition system. By focusing on these priorities and increasing our efficiency by leveraging technology, we strive to ensure every staff member feels valued, supported, and ready to excel for all of our students.
We submit this to the board for your consideration.
All right, board members, it is now our opportunity to vote to accept this report as our own so we can discuss it further. Board members have any questions before we vote to accept this report as our own? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to accept OE5 Personnel Administration as our own report.
Motion to accept OE5.
Motion by Martineau, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by McElwain, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. OE5 is now ours to discuss further and use our operational expectation language to find the district in compliance or not in compliance or in compliance with noted exceptions. Board members have any further questions to dig in deeper into this report in order to make that motion? Hearing no questions, if there's any motion that anybody would like to make?
I would make a motion that the district is in compliance with noted exceptions and monitoring report OE5 personnel administration.
Motion by McElwain, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Martineau, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board finds the district in compliance with noted exceptions in OE5 Personnel Administration. All right, thank you, Mr. Darrow.
Thank you.
Next is 6.02, a review of board policy OE5 Personnel Administration and discussion of potential indicator revisions. So we just went over that report and you've seen the indicators. The board members have any questions? Are we happy with the indicators that are being provided to us? Are we making any suggested changes for next year's report?
It seemed like the training updates fit in with the indicators that were already there.
Meaning the required training? Yes, it just added on another one to add to the total. Yep. So the percentages will still be reported in the same way, just with additional training.
Board member have any additional discussion on this topic?
One thing that I think would be beneficial, which I don't know if this is the correct report or if there'd be another one that would be a good place for it, but kind of tracking the amount of volunteers that we use and have certified in our system to assist in areas. So I don't know if this I know we talked about that briefly with the new onboarding
Yep.
stuff.
So we do, it is under 5.1. It does show that we did process over 1,200 volunteer applications for last year. And had 12 individuals that were denied based on the background check screening. So what additional?
I meant
would be
more
helpful?
specifically, like, of the 1,200, how many are we actively having in our schools?
All of them. Yeah, I mean, it's like somebody might be only come in one time to go on a field trip, and somebody else might be volunteering every Wednesday afternoon to read or supervise in a classroom.
Okay.
But everybody that we run, unless something unforeseen comes up, is with our students.
Okay, well, that answers that question.
It would be cool though, I mean, and I'm not suggesting, cause I don't know how you could do it on top of everything else, but it'd be interesting, right, to know how many volunteers are in every week and, you know, what are the things that they're doing, but I understand why that's a little bit much to try to wrestle into a report.
Just relative to the topic, Kathy and I met just to review our web pages that cover the direction for people in our community that would like to volunteer, the process that they have to go through to submit the right paperwork in order to volunteer, and then the different options. If you're someone that's like, you know, listen, I just want to volunteer and I want to know what are my different options for volunteering. Kathy and I just reviewed that as a part of the new web site rollout. We'll have a clear web page for people that would like to volunteer. Right now, we have a variety of different resources on the web page that are in different spots. And I think there is one page for volunteering, but there's also like 4 other ones too. And so we're gonna review that. And there might be a way that we can not only better keep track of the amount of volunteers, but also like You know, it could be that we see volunteership, if that's the right term, go up because of better communication about, you know, the options for people volunteering too. But just for the board to know that Kathy and I recently met in preparation for a new website launch specifically about volunteer options.
Neither one of you look Gen Z. Have you thought about it? A member of the team?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask Steve, you volunteer, right?
Yes.
So are you happy with the process that you have to go through as far as the technology and the application process?
I guess most of my stuff is like through the bus stuff, which is a different process, so, my wife does a lot of volunteering at Stilson and stuff, so I'm not really up on the technology.
Yeah, it would be good feedback for us.
Sure, for my,
Excuse me, are you finished? I didn't want to interrupt. I've volunteered since Rachel's become choir director here, and it's a really easy process, in my opinion.
Is that every year, Sharon?
You have to renew them every year.
It's Mama Mac.
Yeah, it is, Mama. It's better than, when she was at North, they called me the creator, because I know.
Quiet little science
It was
fiction
weird.
going on there.
All right, thank you. Next is R 2.2, personal interests and strengths. Members of the board have received the CEO's monitoring report on R 2.2, personal interests and strengths. It is now the board's responsibility to consider the report as evidence of reasonable organizational progress in this area. Dr. Saran.
Thank you. Submitting this report with a lot of information attached to it to make sure that the board is able to have some information here. And Katie and her team did a great job compiling it, submitting it to the Central Office Administration to review in preparation to present it to the board tonight. And so I'm going to turn it over to Katie.
Thank you. And presenting the report this evening, Scott, Marty from our technology department, and Melissa Olson, who have assembled and processed that data and taken over in leadership with this. So, thank you.
All right, good evening, board members. Melissa and I are very pleased to be with you tonight to present the results of the R 2.2 monitoring report. Our college readiness rates have consistently demonstrated strong performance, reaching 53%, 49%, 56%, and 51% over the past years. Notably, we surpassed our 50% benchmark in 3 out of the last 4 years, maintaining a 4-year average of 52.3%. Additionally, our career readiness rates have shown significant growth, moving from 74% and 77% up to 88% and 85%. By meeting or exceeding our 85% target in 2 of the last 4 years, we have raised our 4-year average to 81% while establishing a higher standard of performance. While we have demonstrated consistent growth over multiple years, we currently lack a nationally normed data set against which to benchmark our college and career readiness progress. The Department of Public Instruction recently announced an upcoming October release for their Profile of a Graduate framework and indicated they are exploring updates to state college and career readiness benchmarks. Until a reliable comparative norm is established, we are introducing a maintenance of effort metric framework. This framework establishes a baseline performance range that accounts for natural year-to-year cohort fluctuations, establishing an acceptable tolerance band of plus or minus 3%. Rather than viewing minor, normal statistical variations as a loss of momentum, this updated metric allows us to evaluate sustained performance accurately while continuing to iterate, innovate, and aim for higher outcomes across changing student populations. Given the data presented here this evening, we have achieved reasonable progress on both our 2.2 targets. I would also note that for this monitoring report, we have not broken down these data sets by subgroups like students with disabilities or socioeconomic status because we are conscious of protecting students who might be identified based on smaller sample sizes of those subgroups. Regardless of status, all students are represented in the data presented this evening. We welcome the opportunity to continue shrinking any performance gaps that may exist, and our building leaders receive subgroup data to action plan around the needs of all students. Additionally, much of the data is broken down into subgroups and other reports presented to the board. Nevertheless, we are more than willing to sit down with board members outside of a public session if there is particular data you would like to review. The Student Success Dashboard and its indicators remain central to the work of the Student Success Pillar and will continue to guide our work. The Student Success Dashboard, previously referred to as the College and Career Ready Scorecard and built based upon redefining ready criteria, has been used at the high school for over 5 years. In addition to the 4-year data table that we have previously included, this year we've included a bar graph with a trend line in order to give a different visual perspective of our overall progress with college and or career readiness over time. There are two primary categories of data that contribute to the determination of students being considered college ready. Students can meet the criteria in one or both of these categories. To be identified as career ready, however, students must have an identified career pathway, a critical requirement that is supported by the district's comprehensive K-12 academic career planning process.
So in Wisconsin, the academic and career planning, ACP as we refer to it as, is a process designed to prepare students for post-secondary education, careers, and life by focusing on self-exploration, career exploration, career planning and management, academic and economic planning. Integrated into the K-12 curriculum, ACP activities help students identify their interests and strengths, explore the various careers, set academic and career goals, and prepare for life after high school. Supported by our school counselors, teachers, and community partners, students document their experiences and reflections in an online portfolio, graduating with a clear sense of purpose and a plan for their future. The Career Technical Education, CTE, is a crucial part of our ACP process, offering students practical learning experiences and leadership development. By aligning our CTE programs with career clusters and pathways and incorporating our work-based learning opportunities, such as our internships and apprenticeships, students gain those valuable skills and professional experience. Additionally, in participation in career and technical student organizations enhances their leadership abilities and providing network opportunities. Hands-on approach ensures that students are well prepared for the workforce and those post-secondary education. The Chippewa Falls School District, Area Unified School District, showcases its commitment to ACP and CTE through community-driven initiatives and strategic planning. By adopting a college and career-ready scorecard and emphasizing community-connected learning, the district takes a holistic, data-driven approach to student success. This comprehensive framework, which includes the real-world experiences and a focus on career pathways, aims to prepare all students for successful futures, demonstrating the district's innovative and collaborative efforts in education. As you can see in your attachments here in the document, the blue box is our elementary schools. We worked with our school counselors. They gave us input in terms of what they are able to proceed to middle school with, an awareness of interests and strengths and how they relate to academic and career success. You can see those bullet points there. Middle school, our students, we want them to proceed to high school with an understanding of their own interests, exposure to careers that match their interests, knowledge, and habits and skills important to their academic and career successes in purple. And then going down to orange, our high school students will graduate with a career plan along with the knowledge, experiences, skills, and confidence to enact their plan upon graduation.
The fun little pie chart included is for high school students and their selected career pathways. I like throwing this one in here every year because it's just kind of interesting to see in a pie chart form what the breakdown is. Now, keep in mind, high school students have this data first collected as freshmen, but they are allowed the opportunity to change their pathway, obviously, any year that they want to by conversing with their advisor, essentially, their TA teacher. But it's we don't see a whole lot of statistical variation. The breakdown is pretty much, you might have a couple of categories that change back and forth, but ultimately it's kind of interesting to see exactly where the high school students are at with their choice of selected pathways. And then at the middle school and the elementary level.
Yes, so we use something called Zello. And middle school, the top saved career clusters in Zello. We thought that was kind of interesting. Arts, AV, technology and communications, art, agriculture, food and natural resources, human services, education and training, science, technology, engineering and math, and health science. And then that next chart down below, these are our top interests and skills for our K-8 students as identified on Zello. And we picked out just a couple of interesting facts, especially hearing our speaker yesterday. It's kind of fun that our elementary skills, noteworthy highlights, students choose helping others, sharing, accepting differences, supporting others, being patient, and managing my emotions as a top lifelong learner skills. We work really hard at the elementary on the managing my emotions. That's usually one of our top goals for lifelong learners. And we work with I'll work with the conscious discipline framework that all of our actually 4K and elementary teachers have been working with over the last few years. And then our second step social emotional curricular resource should also be noted as key supports in this area. And then also noteworthy highlights from our middle school. They choose many, our middle school students chose many outdoor activities for their key interest. We're actively creating an outdoor space at the Chippewa Falls Middle School, so it's kind of a neat connection for us to look at that data and maybe make a connection there. And it's exciting to see some active interests such as nature, camping, animals, and bike riding among some of the top interests for our middle schools.
So if you recall last year, our commitment to improve was essentially trying to finalize our middle school student success dashboard as well as our elementary student success dashboard. And we are happy to report that we have achieved that goal, knowing full well that this could always end up being a very fluid document that we may make changes to in the future. You can see in the report as shown, we've given you essentially a snapshot from over the summer at one point in time of the elementary school dashboard, followed by a chart that just kind of gives you the breakdown of the metrics from that dashboard. And then the middle school dashboard has also been completed. I think key to note here is you can see that initial baseline data represented both in the dashboard and those charts. But the dashboards themselves have been very carefully aligned to the original high school student success dashboard with grade level equivalent metrics that we will continue to follow and focus on closely.
And then our commitment to improve, we will align our pillar goals and actions to support growth in indicator areas. We'll continue to decrease our demographic group gaps, and we will increase clarity and refine definition of lifelong learner attributes and align with our portrait of a graduate work. And we're just met yesterday with our academic chairs and have a social emotional redesign looking at our curricular areas and combining it with portrait of a graduate and some of our career technical education. So that's literally started yesterday. Exciting. Our report.
Thank you, Scott, Melissa, and Katie for your leadership and your presentation. We submit this to the board.
All right, board members, it's time to vote as to whether or not we will accept this as our own report. Is there a motion to accept our 2.2 personal interests and strengths as our own report? Motion by Jasper, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our 2.2 personal interests and strengths is now our report to discuss and ask questions and determine using our results policy motion language. So board members, any questions regarding this report?
I want to know more about how kids are scored on being a lifelong learner.
It's our report card. So our teachers take into account whether it's our discipline data, our office ODR data. We take into account just the way they behave in class, the way they manage themselves. It is very subjective.
So attendance is very objective, less than 2 majors is very objective, and then the lifelong learner is kind of the personal habits section of the report card. Yes. And that's just combined then. All right.
Where does the community service one play into that? Because that's not yet for 100%, basically.
For
Self-reported for middle school, or does that not come through like community service to the booster club? I thought they were required to put in a certain number of hours.
So we just hadn't developed a structure yet to collect it.
I see.
So it's something we are striving to put in there, but we don't have it yet, so that's why there's no data point.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see, this is the 5th year, long-term, how your identified pathways actually relate to the actual career. You know, probably another 8 or 10 years away, but, you know, in some ways I'm thinking, okay, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Have we identified their strengths, or are we providing with an idea for their strengths? So it's kind of curious how this goes.
We're intentionally trying to build their idea of what's out there. And we know their first choices they make at middle school are, what clubs am I gonna join? How am I gonna be engaged? Being an engaged student is the step to becoming an engaged adult in their community. So we have high school groups go down to the elementary and do presentations about what their club was about last year, and the 5th graders loved it. They're like, oh, I can't wait to join that club, and we're gonna build on that again. So we're really intentionally trying to expand their understanding.
You're taking away some of the struggle of what am I gonna be when I grow up. That's a bad thing. You have to go through the struggle sometimes to figure it out.
Yeah, but we don't know what's gonna be out there when they
Right,
grow up,
yeah.
so it's okay to have a way to keep thinking about it. Do we do any evaluations, or is there any assessment with conscious discipline or second step that goes into, you know, again, I'm still kind of back on that lifelong learner piece. You know, we've got a curriculum, and then we've got a framework. And they're both taught to fidelity, or well, one is taught to fidelity probably, and the other one is being implemented. Is there anything we can take from those?
Brittany would be great to answer with that too.
So, you know, back when we had PBIS in its full effect, we always did that tiered fidelity inventory to see which pieces were in place. And so this year, because the TFI has not been super accurate for us for a few years now. And so one of the things when we were talking about what do we need to make sure that our systems are working the way we want them to, as part of the back to school prep, elementary schools have been tasked with completing a conscious discipline implementation rubric. So we can see, you know, there's 7 big skills that come into there, so we can see both at an individual building level where those skills are kind of what's being implemented with fidelity, where are there opportunities for growth, and then also across all 6 buildings, you know, trying to help us figure out what are our big rocks as far as implementation, and what are some things that have more flex and autonomy. Likewise, at the middle and high school, they are also going to be completing a restorative practices implementation rubric as well, to be in line with the student code of conduct work that was completed last spring. So I'm excited to see where all of that comes together, and I'm sure I'll be able to report about it later when we start talking about R3 and OE 12 this spring.
Brittany and her team, relative to that, have done a great job getting out in front of it. So sometimes when you do a tiered fidelity inventory, the staff does it in October, the students already are in their behavioral practices. Staff are trying to like catch up to some of those, you know, behaviors that have, you know, developed within the first couple of weeks. But this year, everything's been done previous to the start of the school year. And so that way then there's an understanding from the staff of like, what are we good at relative to this evaluation rubric? And what do we have to like build up so that way when the kids walk in the door the first day, they're ready to go.
And I will, because I've been the one presenting this report in previous years, it was fun to see that the supporting others, but the being patient and managing my emotions were new in that top report this time, since we've adopted conscious disciplines. I think that's huge evidence right there that there's good stuff happening with that.
Board members have additional questions about the report? Otherwise, I would look for a motion using our results policy motion language.
Move that the district has made reasonable progress on monitoring report R 2.2 personal interests and strengths.
Motion by Jasper, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Martineau, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board finds the district has made reasonable progress in R 2.2 personal interests and strengths. Thank you all for your presentation on that collaborative effort. So, we'll move on then to the review of board policy R 2.2, personal interests and strengths, and discussion of potential indicator revisions. Board members have any questions or comments regarding the indicators? Things that we'd like to see a little bit different? Some of that is kind of brought out in our questions as we go over it. Anything additional you can think of off the top of your head?
I think there's just, this has been a moving piece in, you know, with the addition of conscious discipline and everything, and, you know, there used to be like a digital citizenship, and we're, you know, once you bring technology in and all of that, how fast that moves, that this is a quick moving piece, and, I guess we'll see where this ends up when we complete the community conversation, to see what comes out of that.
Any additional comments? All right, we'll move on to 8.01. Would any board member request any items removed from the board's consent agenda for separate consideration? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve the board's consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Olson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Martineau, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The board's consent agenda is approved as presented. Next, there is no superintendent's consent agenda, so under matters reserved for board action, no items have been removed from the board's consent agenda. 9.02, resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed 7.1 million, issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program, which is the authority for that is found in OE6 and OE7. And Mr. Trowbridge.
Thank you. This is an annual process for us, which we borrow for cash flow purposes to meet our weekly and monthly expenses. We've been participating in this pool of borrowing for, probably should have looked it up, but probably more than 10 years now. So we participate in this with other school districts to get a more competitive rate. What you see in front of you is a parameters resolution. What it does is authorizes a not to exceed amount, gives me the authority to execute documents on the board's behalf, so we're not trying to time the 6 or 7 school districts that participate in this to have consistent board meeting dates, because they're not consistent. So what this allows is for us to begin that process, and we're looking to have this wrapped up around the 1st of October, which is consistent with prior years. You know, it's kind of vary a little bit. It really just depends on the timing of payrolls and what the fiscal year looks like, what we anticipate for revenues and expenses. But in totality, it's been fairly consistent over the years.
Board members have any questions?
I noted that there was a headline in the newspaper about this, and I thought it was interesting because it is something that we do every year, and you've confirmed that. So it is not an unusual practice that we're looking at this time.
Not at all. Been going on for more than 25 years.
Just the cash flow of when you get your money in and when you need to pay it.
Actually, I like it when people ask about why we have to cash flow borrow, and I talk about the timing of payments, and we're getting aid on last year's expenses, and we get roughly 40% of our tax revenue not until the following August, till after the fiscal year. So really it's just about timing of how we receive our payments. We don't get any tax dollars till January and February. And legislatively, a lot of our aid payments have been delayed into July of the following year. So other cash flow issues that have created that problem.
All right, if there are no other questions, the recommended action is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed 7.1 million, issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program. Would anybody like to make such a motion?
Motion to approve a resolution authorizing temporary borrowing.
The exact language?
Oh, in an amount not to exceed 7.1 million, issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes and participation in PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program.
Motion by Martineau. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Fear. Any further discussion? Clerk, roll call, please.
Dave Martineau,
Aye.
Dennis Fear,
Aye.
Sherry Jasper, aye. Sharon McElwain,
Aye.
Peggy McKillop,
Aye.
Steve Wilson,
Aye.
Dave Chapman.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Trowbridge.
Thank you.
9.03 is the policy committee meeting notes. Dennis Fear is the chairperson. He can speak on those notes.
Overall, the meeting went really well, fairly quick. We have the finalized revisions in the next, I think, 9.04. Some of the things that we talked about last time we brought back up, they're attached on there, specifically the board member communication and code of conduct, and then the gifts, grants, and memorials. And so we have what is, I think, the recommended final language for both of those, and some other relatively minor updates to language for Neola. But other than that, that pretty much encompasses what we worked on, I would say. Yes.
Board member have anything additional to add or any questions? Otherwise, the recommended action is to approve the August 18th, 2026 Policy Committee meeting notes as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Fear. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Olson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board approves the August 18th, 2026 Policy Committee meeting notes as presented. Next is 9.04, consideration of Neola policy revisions. And the policy revisions are presented to you here.
So yeah, here is the. Yeah, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Here is the finalized, presumably the finalized versions of the drafts that we worked on, kicked back from last time at the meetings. And so, I think the biggest changes that we had were with the memorial language that we drafted or have been drafting over the last few months here. And so, I think we have it pretty well nailed down with what everybody was looking for. And the same thing goes for the board member communication and stuff of that, which is in there. So.
Any board members have any questions about any of the changes recommended? All right, hearing none, the recommended action is to approve the recommended Neola policy revisions as presented. Motion by Jasper. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Martineau. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The board approves the recommended Neola policy revisions as presented. Communicating with the board, 10.01 is the enrollment update. Mr. Trowbridge.
Thank you. What you see here is the current state of student enrollment as of last Thursday. I went back to the 2 prior months leading up to this, and I think the good story here is that our enrollment's been pretty stable all summer. In fact, has seen a little bit of an uptick in enrollment as we welcome students back to the school year. Many other school districts are doing the same thing. So we'll know more, and we'll tighten these up, obviously, starting next week. So don't anticipate any major shifts here, but for the most part, from a balance perspective, we see a lot of good things here. Still some areas that we are continuing to monitor, even into next week. But I think when you look at class size plans across certainly the K-5 system, you see the results of the boundary shifts, and things are very well balanced here. We're still sorting out just a handful of affected people with boundary changes. I think over the next few days, our schools are ready for kids. As you know, staff are back this week and preparing for what is to come next week.
Board members have any questions, comments? I just say that this looks good. I mean, for all we went through with the boundary change, to make this happen, for it to work out this way is really good.
I even made sure the math was right this month.
Right. All right, if there are no other questions, we will move on to 10.02. Thank you, Mr. Trowbridge. 10.02 is the WOLT donation process, and speaking on that is going to be Dr. Sarin and Mr. Trowbridge.
Thanks. Gratitude to Angela for getting right on top of this and beginning to schedule meetings with any of the people that have submitted proposals. We already had one meeting this week. We have two more coming up this week. We're running a similar process, updating all of the people that submitted the proposals with the board's direction and next steps, letting them know that we are going to allow them to resubmit it. We'll open up the actual window at the same time. So everybody gets the same amount of time to be able to revise their proposals and resubmit them. Conversations so far have been great. And just, people are really glad about the board discussion that would happen transparently in, open session and was videoed. And so people are really grateful for that direction. And so far the conversations have been great. We'll continue to communicate with people about the process. And then we're excited to come back to the board and just update the board on the resubmission process of those proposals for the Chi-High. Jeff, did I miss anything?
We do also have some time set aside to establish some evaluation criteria that we'll be prepared to administer once we have all the information.
Board members have any questions? All right, thank you both. Next is 10.03, Community Conversation Strategic Plan Refresh Update. And that is, if I'm clicking here correctly, Board Member McKillop, Design Team Board Liaison.
Yes, so the design team has met twice, and they've been working very hard. They've worked through the logistics and the organization, the format of the community conversation. And as our charge was that we wanted a broad perspective of community members participating. So there's going to be a survey that people can take. We're going to have mini sessions around the community for people that want to come in person. We'll do interviews if somebody doesn't want to fill out the survey, wants a paper copy. We'll get them a paper copy. So we don't want any barriers for somebody to be able to participate. So it will be opening up here shortly, so you'll probably be seeing it. And if you can encourage friends, neighbors, anybody, so we can get good data, that would be great. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Ms. McKillop. Next is 10.04, Superintendent Entry Plan Update. Dr. Sarin.
Thank you. Let me get to my notes here. Okay, again, tons of gratitude toward Angela. She's had both of us running, and so just within the time where I presented to the board the last time for the entry plan, I've met with Kirk Strang to review just any recent legal questions that have come up regarding the district, so he could get me up to speed. All principals regarding the expulsion process. I've met with the Booster Club, Go Right Way. Chad was great about meeting with Go Right Way and Casey, who was great to work with. The mayor of Chippewa Falls came in and we had a great conversation. Katie sponsored me with the instructional specialists, which was great. I went over to McDonald and met with Molly Bushman. She was wonderful. Met with the Big Rivers superintendents. That was great. Met with the headmaster and the board president, Kim Sen of Veritas. I met with the Chippewa Falls PD, the entire command staff, which was great. They came over and had a great conversation with them. Visited VSA with Chad Hoople, a graduate from Chippewa Falls. Chase, I'm sorry, Chase. What did I say, Chad? Yeah, Chase Hoople. Walked me around the entire place, and it was just remarkable. Met with Randy Quinn and Linda Dawson, the founders of Coherent Governance, just to update them on the good work that the board has done here for over a decade in Chippewa Falls, and they were really impressed and just really sent their gratitude toward just your work in governance in the state of Wisconsin. Was able to meet with Mike Shook. Mike Shook also says hello to everybody. He was great to sit down with and connect with, along with the CISA 10 administrator, Jordan Sins, who lives right in town. His kids go to our schools and was a former superintendent. Also great to connect with. And then coming up this week, I'll meet with next week, 4K directors and a series of other people. And so the entry plan has just been really going well, and grateful for the board to give me feedback on that to make sure that my re-entry into the community has been effective. And then also, like I said, gratitude to Angela just for reaching out to so many people and finding space on the schedule to have really effective meetings. And so, like I said before, it's a living document. And so if you have ideas of people that would like to sit down and for me to get to know them a bit, please let us know. Happy to meet with anyone that you feel would be a part of a great reentry into the Falls community.
Board members have any questions as to the activities of our superintendent? All right, thank you.
And your driver's ed instructor as well on the side.
Yeah. Yes, I also do that. My son
I love those
temps, and so like also trying to teach him how to drive, and been interesting for those of you that have taught anyone how to drive before. So
Stick shift?
nope, not this time. Not this time.
I don't even think you can get one of those.
Special
All right, thank you, Dr. Saran. Next is 10.05, Educational Technology Department Update. Mr. Scott Marty.
Good evening again. It's been a busy summer again for my department. Last year, those of you might remember, we had a lot of behind the scenes updates that we did with our systems. This summer, it's been a little bit more on the application and software front. So I've got three different pieces to highlight this evening. The first one would be Parent Square. Parent Square is our new district communication app, well, kind of new. So to give you a little bit of background, Remind is an application that we had used once upon a time for middle school and high school level. Remind as a company was bought by Parent Square quite a few years ago, and so a little over a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, somewhere around there, Parent Square was contacting us because they're trying to get everybody to transition from Remind to Parent Square. So we kind of did a soft rollout last year, transitioning the middle school and high school to Parent Square, but primarily just focused on replacing the communication piece. There's so much more to Parent Square than just being able to message students, message families. But in order to get it rolled out last year, we focused on just that secondary level and just trying to replace that communication piece. Had a really good rollout with it last year. There were a lot of clubs and activities as well as coaches that utilized it. And then moving into this year with Act 89 being passed, and trying to essentially streamline everything and make sure that we're fulfilling our due diligence with communication, we decided to transition the entire district to utilizing Parent Square. So there's a couple, like I said, there's so much to Parent Square. Number one, I think the benefit is going to be that we have a unified district-wide platform. So no matter what grade level your student is in, that's how schools are going to communicate with you as a parent, and or send out important updates. And that will transition then all the way up through secondary. So it'll be the same for everybody. People won't have to learn one program and then switch to another one. So there's a big benefit there. The other piece is that there's automatic multilingual translation. So whatever we're linking Infinite Campus in with Parent Square, that's where we're getting our data from, and populating things. So if a parent has specified a particular language that they want to receive their communication in Infinite Campus, that has been directly ported over to Parent Square. So when a teacher needs to send a post home, right, it's going to go out to all the families in that teacher's class, and every family is going to get it in a language that they want. Right? And then if they need to send a message back to that teacher, it will also it will allow them to type out their message in their language of choice and will automatically translate it back then for the teacher. So communication should be fairly seamless in that sense. That was a huge benefit that we saw to that. And then the third thing, like I said, I mentioned Act 89, there's enhanced oversight and security. So all of the communications that end up going through Parent Square are logged, they're archived. So if there's ever any question about communications that anybody has sent on the platform, we will be able to go back through and find whatever those communications are in order to get whatever data we need from those communications. Like I said, a lot more to Parent Square than just that, but that's kind of our starting point right now. All the schools, all the departments, we've all had, or we're about to all have a little bit of training on it. We're finishing up some of that training over the next 2 days with teaching staff from the elementary tomorrow, secondary level on Thursday. But everybody should have gone through that training then by the end of the week, and the expectation moving forward is that again, via our communication policy, as a district, all staff members can only utilize district-approved platforms in order to communicate with families and students. And those platforms essentially are Parent Square and our school Gmail accounts. So there's that. Do we want to wait for questions until the end, or do we want to do questions about each individual one? I'm happy to do either way.
Questions right now?
Parent Square at all?
Then we'll wait till the end.
That's fine. I'll link Parent Square then.
That's all right, I can wait.
All right. I'll link Parent Square then into Smart Sites, because Smart Sites, as we continue to prepare for the rollout of our new website, Smart Sites is the website branch of Parent Square that we decided to move to from CMS for Schools. The benefit there is that when everything is up and running, Parent Square and Smart Sites are linked together completely. So we've been doing a lot of background work on getting our data kind of aligned. So we're trying to essentially utilize information that is in Skyward and pull that completely into Infinite Campus. We've never had quite everything loaded into Infinite Campus, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to streamline our processes so that when we hire staff members, their information automatically goes into Infinite Campus. And then from Infinite Campus, I've already said, of course, we're feeding that into Parent Square. Where that affects the website is essentially with everything being integrated, we get a lot of automatic things that can then happen with the website. So for example, staff directories. So the staff directories that we'll end up having on the new website will be automatically updated essentially every single night, because it's going to draw from Skyward into Infinite Campus and then sync with Smart Sites. So we won't have to necessarily, about the only thing that we'll have to do is update the photos at some point in time when we have new photos. But otherwise, the staff directory will automatically be populated with the staff member's name, the building that they're associated with, their title. It'll all be seamless by the time we're done getting everything set up, and we shouldn't have to touch it again. So that's really cool. It's a single publish integration, so essentially with Parent Square linked, you can actually publish to the website, even directly from your phone if you've got Parent Square on your phone. So if a building administrator realizes, oh shoot, I need to get a post out to my families, right? They can do that post right away on their phone. They can post it to Parent Square and also automatically check a box that posts it directly to their school website then. So essentially it's a one-stop shop. You get your message out and you push it out, and as long as you make sure you push it out to the website as well, it all goes in one fell swoop. So that's a big plus. Another thing is that we've got some compliance needs. There's ADA, it's called WCAG, WCAG compliance. There's been compliance for online resources already. WCAG is moving to 2.2, version 2.2, I believe. And so right now the deadline's been pushed off until April 2028, but eventually we need to make sure that all of the resources, including our website, but all the resources that we use are WCAG compliant by that date. What that means is essentially making sure that the content that we're pushing out online is accessible by people with disabilities, so that screen readers can actually accurately read what's going, what is actually featured on a page. Color contrast, size of font, all that sort of stuff. And Smart Sites actually does that automatically. So when we go to create web pages to put out on our website, they actually have automated compliance built in. They won't even let you click the publish button until for example, if you've got a picture that you're putting on that site, you have to have the alternative text for that picture so that if somebody mouses over, right, they can hear the description of that picture. That compliance is built into Parent Square and into Smart Sites. So that's going to be a really big plus for us moving forward as well. It's a much easier drag and drop editor than CMS for Schools was. CMS for Schools, you used to go to your page and you'd open it up and you would just basically see the text. You wouldn't be able to see the actual page, but you can actually, as an editor now, go and look at your once you're logged in, you can go and look at your live page, find one module, the one module that's on the page that you need to edit, and there's a little edit button right there. So you see what you're selecting, you click the edit button, and then it automatically takes you in to edit it right then and there. And then you can even preview it to see the changes that you're about to make before you go and republish. So should be a lot easier for our users that we're training. And then the other thing that's really important about Smart Sites is it prioritizes mobile first. So our website will look just fine on a computer, but our parents, we have noted, and this is where Parent Square is handy as well, our parents are a lot of the times very heavy mobile users, right? They like to do a lot of texting, which is why Parent Square is a bonus, because it's basically texting back and forth with parents. They receive things as text messages or emails or in the app, so it's very social media friendly. But then the website essentially does the same thing. So when they're bringing up our web page on their mobile device, on their cell phone, it's very mobile friendly. It formats itself automatically and is very easy to scroll through. So Smart Sites, we're gonna try to roll that out this fall. We're still working on a backwards map. We've got a lot more work to do just with the focus on the school year starting up and kids coming back in. We're trying to aim for late October, early November, but we're gonna set up some individual appointments with all of our website editors so that they really get to know exactly how to utilize that new website feature. So any questions on Smart Sites at all? I apologize, I am geeking out a little bit about this, so it's just by nature comes with the position. So so the last thing that I'll talk a little bit about is AI. So we have not opened up AI for a number of years. You know, it's probably been, about 3 years since ChatGPT exploded on the scene. And we have not opened up AI for students until this year. Reason being is, we have kind of taken a cautious approach. We have at least allowed AI or certain AI programs to be utilized by teachers within the district in an effort to try to get them comfortable with what AI can be utilized for, what it can do. Some of them have taken to it very quickly, and others have remained cautious, and that's fine. But ultimately, we had some, we had a secondary AI committee that we formed late last spring, started having some meetings with them, and after a very informative and boisterous AI virtual session back in January with staff members to kind of talk about what it could look like when we open up AI. And essentially what we landed on is, if we're going to open up AI, we want to do it in a very limited fashion. We want to make sure that it's fairly controlled, and we want to make sure that we have some guidance in place, guidance for teachers, guidance for students. So what we are doing this fall is for high school students only. We are going to open up Google Gemini, Gemini Notebook, which used to be known as Notebook LM, but they just renamed it like a couple of weeks ago, and then Gemini Guided Learning. Which the reason why we're utilizing those in particular is because for us, those are closed AI systems. If you're familiar with closed versus open, open is essentially the ones that if you were to pick up your phone and go out to ChatGPT or go out to Gemini, those are all open. What that means is that whatever information you put in there, it goes back to the company. So for Gemini, it would go back to Google. Any information you put in there, it's all Google's, right? And they use that information to train that model constantly. Closed AI systems, meaning we have some protected status. We've got data privacy agreements with those companies. Closed AI systems are just that. Like, you still get the same benefit, but any of the information that we put into it, it does not go back to the companies. So it all stays under our data privacy umbrella, stays protected. We always try to give the guidance that you should never put personally identifiable information of anybody's, students, yourself, into AI at all. Definitely not into the open systems, right? But even though we have closed systems, our guidance is always do not put personally identifiable information into AI. So at any rate, that's just to kind of give you an example of closed versus open. So we have those resources that we'll be opening up. As part of that opening up, we have done some work on revising our AI guidance for staff and students. There is a document that we produced a number of years ago that we've made updates to. Obviously taking into consideration the AI policy that was passed by the board back in March. We've also done quite a few meetings. We met with high school administration because, and you're about to see that coming up as well, but their academic integrity policy in the student parent handbook, we essentially identified some language changes that could take place. It sounds funny to say this, but incorporating the potential for AI being used to cheat versus traditional cheating methods like looking over somebody's shoulder while they're, while you're doing your test. So the academic integrity policy language kind of covers all territory when it comes to plagiarism, both without and with technology. And so we met with high school administration on that, reviewed that language, sent it to the secondary AI committee to review, and so I'll be presenting that in just a little bit as well. We're also making sure that we're doing some presentations. So the AI committee, the members of the secondary AI committee, thought it would be best for somebody other than high school administration, other than maybe high school staff, to first present this AI information, proper use of AI, those first learning pieces. Thought it would be beneficial for others to do that, namely myself and a couple of my team members. So next week, we're going to be giving a presentation to each one of the grade levels, seniors on one day, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. And we're going to go through that presentation and kind of essentially talk to them about these tools, what they should be thinking when they are utilizing these tools. And this is all at teacher discretion as well. So even though we're opening up AI, we're leaving it to the teachers as to how much or if at all they want to implement it in their classes this year. So it's not a forced thing, but it is something that that we are trying to open up because students are going to be exposed to this at some point in time, right? Post-secondary is already, fit this all into their curriculum, and students are potentially coming in and not knowing how to utilize it with them. So, of course, the burden does fall on us, because if we don't teach students how to use AI appropriately, they're gonna go out and they're gonna figure out how to do it themselves, but also potentially figure out how to do it incorrectly, right? And so we wanna, we have that burden on us to make sure that we're starting to implement it and teach them about that. And then Brisk Teaching AI is the other tool that's on here as well. For the most part, that is a teacher level tool, but Brisk Boost is something that if teachers decide to utilize it and issue certain activities in Brisk Boost, like it's the teachers essentially deciding to issue it to the students for use. So we're also doing a parent presentation tomorrow night at Open House. So we are opening this up. We're going to do a presentation tomorrow night for parents, essentially kind of the same presentation we're doing for the students next week. And then we'll do a repeat performance at mid-quarter progress reports for Q1 at the high school as well, in case somebody can't attend tomorrow night and they find out from their students that their students now have access to AI. So.
That was a lot for the board and for everybody, and even I hope people are live streaming this too. So the way that we communicate with parents is gonna be different. They're used to Remind. We had that soft start. They're gonna do Parent Square. To a large extent, that's because of Act 89 and how our staff communicates with students. Our website's gonna change this fall. To a large extent, it's gonna be updated and redesigned, but to a large extent, that's related to ADA compliance relative to web pages and also translations. And the last one is that our kids are gonna have access to AI at the senior level. We had a group of people at the secondary level analyze this, try to figure out how to go about doing it. And we're gonna do the Inch It Open and open it up, and there's gonna be parent discussions and everything. And I think, thank you, Scott, for that presentation. When we reviewed this at the central office administrative agenda, we felt it was important not only for the board to know, but also to begin to let our community know there's some pretty significant changes in technology here. 13 years ago, Scott and I brought one-to-one technology to the high school. And now 13 years later, Scott and us are opening up AI to the high school too. It just shows you how fast technology, goes. And so thank you, Scott, for all your leadership.
If I may add, I think it's important to note that things are always going to be changing and evolving, right? So although we're kind of at a certain point right now, I think what's important to know, and there was a meeting at the high school today, it's a starting point. The conversations need to take place. They need to continue to happen, and what we decide to do and how we move forward is going to change. But I think it's important that we just start somewhere, and this is our starting point right now, so.
And I should say, all the gratitude to the high school administration for their collaboration and thoughtfulness too.
So I have a question, because my world is open records. Does Parent Square, retain the messages for 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because those would be subject to open records requests. Obviously, you might have to redact them, but.
Correct.
So that their format would be where they would be stored. Is that, or is it? I mean, is your IT department the one who would be searching?
So typically.
Do you understand what I'm?
Yeah, so at this point, the archives will be stored within Parent Square,
Okay.
all right? And if there were to be a records request that we would need to initiate, that typically has in the past, even for Google, right? It's typically come from the superintendent or possibly HR, and that comes into me typically, and then yeah, I will typically have one of my staff members, usually my systems administrator, or whoever specializes in potentially that, whatever that app is, then they'll go through and they'll search for the records that we need to claim.
Thank you.
We haven't had to do it yet for Parent Square, so I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like. But yeah.
Hopefully it's a while.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Board members have any additional questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Marty, and I think we're right back to you with the student handbook revision.
So, yes, I mentioned that you guys just, at the end of the last, school board meeting, you already approved some revisions that came through, but as part of that AI work, I kind of already mentioned this. We took a look at the academic integrity, policy procedure that was in the high school student handbook, student parent handbook, and, made some alterations to it, based upon, opening up AI. And in full disclosure, and it's even included in the new academic integrity policy, we actually did use AI in order to help us with this process. So what we did was we took the academic integrity policy language that was already there, and then we also, we took that, we put that into Gemini along with the board policy for AI, and essentially asked Gemini, given this academic integrity language, what are we potentially missing now that our school board has adopted this AI policy? And it presented suggestions to us in terms of language to change. So we adopted and made continued modifications to that language, met with the high school administration. They signed off on it, and as I said before, we took it to the secondary AI committee to see if they had any feedback for us on that, and there were a couple of minor changes there as well that they suggested, and here we are tonight, so.
Board members have any additional questions on the academic integrity policy or the parent-student handbook?
Just one question. The expectation of defense, was that generated by AI or was that?
No, technically that was already something that was in
Yeah,
the.
I know we had it in there, but it didn't change at all since the last time. It looks just a little different, but maybe that's just my memory failing me, but.
I would have to compare.
Never mind, that's not that important. I'm just curious.
Yeah. No, I seem to recall it being pretty similar, so that may not have been one of the areas where there was a whole lot of change necessary, but like I said, I think the feedback that we got from high school administration initially was upon the first review, after there were some suggested AI changes, they felt like it went too far in the direction of only AI and didn't leave enough language there to essentially accommodate for traditional plagiarism. So just copying from a book or copying from another student. And so that's where we ended up going back and doing some revisions. So there may be parts of this that will appear.
No, I appreciate that specific part. Being a former teacher, it makes perfect sense, so I'm glad it's in there. Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, then thank you, Mr. Marty, on that as well. Next is summer school programming.
Just sharing what we had students engaged in over the summer. A lot of good activities. You can see the brains engaged. That's the number of students that were involved in that programming. And it really follows their interest from the R22 report. So that Beaver Creek Reserve, 174 different students engaged in that. So they had a lot of options in there, the Boys and Girls Club. So those are our enrichment type of options that we do in partnership with organizations in our area. Then we also have the academic programming, which has targeted support for our students at elementary, middle school, and high school. Those were all down in their participation. Last year was high for our elementary especially. After Act 20 went in, it was the first year that parents got notifications that their students were on a plan for that, and we think that's what prompted it. And we didn't have as many students have plans this year, which was good, but it didn't account for that big of a drop. So that was our plan for this year. In-district offerings, if you've heard, we've also got our band orchestra, FFA, we've got Link and Web coming up, and pretty active for students during the summer, that they're able to participate and stay engaged and connected with their friends and with their learning journey. So we're very excited about what we have to offer.
Board members have any questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Koppenberger. Next is 10.08, discussion of board activities. August 6th was our CISA 10 annual convention. Dave Martineau attended for us. What do you have to tell us about?
Actually, I have to apologize. I am fighting with my Google Calendar, and I had put it down for the 16th, so it didn't pop up to remind me. So the next Thursday, I knew it was on a Thursday, I started heading over to CISA, and that's when I realized I had missed the meeting. So I apologize for that. That's I'm trying to follow in Mr. Olson's footsteps of learning technology, and it's not going well lately.
Got thrown under the bus.
Yeah. Well, you're the guy that drives the bus.
Well, at least with the
It's
boss.
okay then.
Yeah.
Right, August 11th, a mentor-mentee luncheon. I think you oftentimes attend that, don't you, Steve?
Yep. And Sherry came to it. Yep.
How'd that go?
Good. It was, it's always fun to see the young, fresh faces, and so it wasn't as many as we've seen in the past, you know, and I think that's just reflective of our enrollment and, you know, with the hiring and stuff, so, but it was good.
Steve did the inspirational welcome from the board.
Excellent.
He did good.
All right, August 18th was the design team meeting number 2, and I think we've already talked about that during the meeting, unless there's any additional comments. August 24th was the all-staff kickoff, and I think Sherry Jasper did a great job on behalf of the board welcoming the staff, and also I heard nothing but good reviews for Dr. Sarin and the talk that you gave. Anybody else?
Having kids involved, having students.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say. That was a nice touch.
Made a difference, makes a difference.
Credit to Kathy for organizing all of that.
Your idea.
Excellent.
Felt good, and I've heard from a lot of staff, you know, either just generally on Facebook, you know, so not necessarily personally, but just a lot of reach outs of felt good about coming back.
The speaker made an impression on quite a few people that I talked with, including
The
myself.
speaker again?
Mr. Chingris.
Jingers.
You were
Generational.
talking about that before.
What generation are you? I'm a boomer.
I don't even know.
X.
X.
No, you
What did we learn about X? Anybody?
Figure it out.
He was talking about words that you don't understand, and I did not understand that boomer has a negative connotation. So I am a baby boomer, but I didn't think it was a bad thing until now.
Tail end of that.
You were the beginning of the latchkey kids. Were you a latchkey kid?
I don't think I was a latchkey kid.
No, you had somebody at home when you got home from
Well, that would
school?
assume that back then we locked our doors,
That too.
where I live. Anyway, so that sounds like fun. I mean, we
was
are
good.
starting the 6th, 7th year. I'm excited.
See, and again, that's not even
That's
cool
not
anymore.
us.
You gotta move on, cause kids that invented that are so old, it's not even funny.
Thank you.
Talk to Dennis's
Thank you,
kids
Boomer.
about out there, you know?
All right, so I think we've covered everything that we did. Anybody have any other activities that they wanna put a shout out to? All right. Discussion of the meeting. Board members, this is where we have our meetings, or to discuss the meeting, since we used to do this on an annual basis, and maybe we'll go back to that, because by the time we get to this, everyone's always tired, ready to go. So I haven't really heard a whole lot of comments doing it this way, but any board members have anything to say about how the meeting went? And everyone have an opportunity to be heard?
I think it's a good reminder to keep, you know, even if we don't really talk about it a lot, it's still okay to have there. That reminder.
All right, 11.02 is future agenda items and upcoming events. September 1st, first day of school, district-wide. September 11th, 8 a.m., Coffee and Commerce at Caribou Coffee. September 22nd, regular monthly board meeting. September 28th, from 4:30 to 6 is business after hours at Four Corners. September 30th, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock is the WASB Fall Regional Meeting at Florian Gardens in Eau Claire. Registration is required. So far, Angela, Brad, Sherry, and Peggy are attending. And I think, is registration still open, or is that?
Yeah, it is open.
All right. Any other activities that anyone wants to give a shout out to that are coming up in the next month? Other than the fact that we'll get our students back, will tell us what is going on in the school, so. All right, here we are, 12.01, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Martineau, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Fear, any further discussion?
What's this end of the table?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?